We were at the altar, literally at the altar. And that's when his ex stood up and said, "You promised you'd never love anyone the way you loved me." And you know what he did? He hesitated. He didn't deny it. He just looked at me and whispered, "I'm sorry." Now I'm in a bathroom stall in my wedding dress, mascara streaking down my face. And that was just the beginning of what he'd been hiding. Let me back up for a second. My name's Natalie. I'm 29. And until approximately 3 hours ago, I thought I was about to marry the love of my life. His name is Chase. We've been together for 4 years, met at a 4th of July barbecue, thrown by mutual friends, fell in love over late-night tacos, and shared Spotify playlists, and somehow made it through the pandemic without killing each other. That had to mean something, right? We got engaged last Christmas. He proposed with a speech about how I was his piece in the middle of chaos, how he couldn't imagine a single version of life without me in it. I said yes, through tears. And we started planning right away. The venue was this little rustic vineyard about an hour outside the city's sunlight, filtering through rows of grapevines, fairy lights strung above wooden beams. It was everything I'd ever wanted. The guest list, 120 people, give or take. The dress, ivory satin with a slit that made me feel like a goddess. The vibe, romantic, modern, and just Pinterest-y enough to be classy. Everything was going smoothly, until the night before. Chase seemed off. I chalked it up to pre-wedding nerves. But there was something in his eyes, this flicker of something I couldn't name. We stayed in separate rooms that night, like tradition suggests, and I didn't get much sleep. Not because of excitement, because of this gnawing sense that something didn't feel right. Still, I told myself I was being dramatic, that it was just anxiety, that by this time tomorrow, I'd be Mrs. Natalie Parker and everything would make sense. I was wrong. Because when I stepped into the vineyard chapel, clutching my bouquet of white peonies, I looked at Chase and felt it again. That flicker, like he was trying to force a smile that wouldn't quite reach his eyes. And then right in the middle of the ceremony, as the officiant asked if anyone had any reason we shouldn't be wed, she stood up. Long, dark hair, burgundy lipstick, a green satin dress that screamed, "I want to be seen." And she said it, clear as crystal. "You promised you'd never love anyone the way you loved me." The room fell so silent, I swear I could hear my heartbeat over the birds outside. My mouth went dry, my hands started shaking. And Chase hesitated. He looked like someone had unplugged him. Eyes wide, mouth slightly open, face pale. Not shocked like what is she talking about? More like she wasn't supposed to say that here. That silence stretched, long enough that people started shifting in their chairs. My mom, 2 rows back, was already standing, her hand over her mouth. My bridesmaids? Statues. And then just when I thought maybe Chase would laugh, or yell security, or do literally anything, he looked at me. Not at her. At me. And he said it, quiet, broken, "I'm sorry." I swear my heart dropped to the floor in that moment, landed next to the flower petals from the aisle runner. I remember thinking, he didn't even deny it. The officiant stuttered out something, some awkward, mumbled line about, "Let's take a moment," but I barely heard him. Because the ex was still standing there, arms crossed, no shame, just waiting. So I turned to her, this woman with the smug smirk and the perfect cat eye, and I said, "Who the hell are you to ruin my wedding?" My voice cracked on the word wedding, and I hated that she saw it. She raised an eyebrow and said, "And I will never forget this, I'm not ruining anything. I'm just making sure you know what you're getting into." There were gasps, actual gasps, like we were in some live soap opera. And Chase finally spoke up. But not to her, not to me, to the room. "Can we have a moment, please?" People started to get up. Someone herded the flower girl out. A groomsman awkwardly knocked over a chair trying to usher people toward the exit. It felt like the air had been sucked out of the building. Once the room was mostly cleared, it was just me, Chase, the ex still refusing to leave, my sister maid of honor, guardian of my mental stability, and the officiant, who looked like he very much wanted to evaporate. I stared at Chase. "You have 10 seconds to explain what just happened." He didn't speak right away, just ran a hand through his hair, avoiding my eyes. "I dated her. Before you. You know that. I know you had an ex named Claire," I said slowly. "I don't know why she thinks you're still in love with her." Claire, now I had a name to the chaos, crossed her arms again. "Because he told me, 2 months ago, at the bar, on 7th, said he missed me, said he wasn't sure he was making the right choice." The ground disappeared beneath me. 2 months ago? That was the week we finalized the guest list. The week he surprised me with the vintage bracelet I'm still wearing right now. I turned back to him. "Is that true?" He didn't answer. Just looked at me like he was begging me to read his silence as something gentler than guilt. My sister stepped forward then, putting her hand on my shoulder. "You don't have to do this here." But I did. I needed to know. So I asked the question that would change everything. "Do you still love her?" He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. He looked at the floor. And that, somehow, was worse than anything else. Because if it had been a yes, I could have walked away with fire in my chest and my head held high. If it had been a no, maybe I could have believed this was just some cruel misunderstanding, a moment of weakness blown out of proportion. But he just looked down, like the answer was too heavy for him to carry. I could feel it happening, that slow unraveling of a life I thought I had, like watching a thread pulled loose on your favorite sweater and realizing the whole thing is about to come undone. So I did what any woman with half a shred of dignity left would do. I took off my engagement ring, slid it off with fingers that didn't feel like mine, held it out to Chase, and said, "If you have to think about it, then I already know." His head snapped up then, panic in his eyes. "Natalie, wait please. It's not like that. I was just confused." "You don't get to be confused at the altar," I snapped. My voice broke on altar, but I didn't care anymore. "This isn't a grocery list, Chase. It's my life." He reached out, and I stepped back. Even just a few feet away from him, the difference in the air was undeniable. Claire finally spoke again. He said he couldn't stop thinking about me. "That's all I came here to say. You deserve to know." And with that, she turned and walked out, heels clicking dramatically down the stone aisle like some villain in a bad rom-com. Except this wasn't a movie. This was my wedding day, and I had just been blindsided in front of everyone I love. The officiant cleared his throat, probably wondering if he should still be here. I waved him off. "Go," I said softly. "There's not going to be a wedding today." And that was it. 4 years of love, late-night ice cream runs, road trips, arguments about laundry, and dream house plans over. Chase sank onto the nearest pew, holding the ring in his hand like it was suddenly burning him. "I didn't want it to happen like this," he mumbled. "You didn't want this at all," I said, voice shaking. "You just didn't have the guts to tell me." I turned to my sister. "Get my bag. We're leaving." She nodded, pulling me toward the side entrance, away from the whispers already growing louder behind the chapel doors. I didn't cry. Not yet. Because the second I stepped outside, a different kind of fire lit up in me. Not heartbreak, not shame, rage. Every step I took in that dress made me feel like I was dragging the weight of 4 years behind me. Satin and tulle and dreams and delusion. I hated how pretty it still looked in the sunlight, like it didn't know the ceremony was canceled, like it was mocking me. We got to the bridal suite. My sister, Emily, closed the door behind us and immediately turned into this tornado of motion, unzipping garment bags, handing me makeup wipes, pulling bobby pins from my hair with surgical precision. "Say the word and I'll burn his groomsmen's jackets in the parking lot," she said without looking up. I let out a breath that was half a laugh and half a sob. "Tempting." She turned to me, dead serious. "No, really. I have a lighter in my car. God, I love her." But then came the knock. One soft knock like it didn't want to be noticed. I froze. Emily peeked through the door. "It's your mom, and Lena, and like 6 other people." I blinked. "Why?" Emily shrugged. "They want to see you." Apparently everyone thinks Chase had some kind of nervous breakdown. Oh, so the rumors had already started. Perfect. I looked in the mirror. My mascara had run just enough to make me look haunted, but not enough to ruin the whole face. My lipstick was holding on for dear life. I looked like a ghost bride who'd escaped her own wedding. And, honestly, not far off. "Let them in," I said, because I wasn't hiding. Not anymore. The door opened, and in they came my mom, my college roommate Lena, 2 of my cousins, my friend Riley from work, all women, all with the same stunned, slightly wide-eyed expression. "Natalie," Lena said softly. "What happened?" I sat down on the little love seat by the window and said it plainly. His ex stood up during the vows, said he still loved her. He didn't deny it. Gasps, hands over mouths. One of my cousins muttered, "Men are actual trash." I nodded. Correct. Then my mom, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, stepped forward and said something that changed everything. "Do you want to stay here and cry, or do you want to go out there and show everyone exactly who they lost?" I looked up at her, stunned. This was the same woman who once cried when I wore a crop top to Thanksgiving. But today, she looked like she was ready to flip a table. 10 minutes later, I walked out of that bridal suite in the same dress but with my hair down, veil gone, makeup cleaned up, lips freshly glossed, and a pair of white sneakers on my feet. I looked less like a bride and more like a woman who was no longer playing nice. The guests were still milling around awkwardly near the wine barrels and welcome table. A few had already cracked open champagne like they weren't sure what else to do. I spotted Chase's groomsmen off to the side, whispering and looking sheepish. Chase himself? Nowhere in sight. I grabbed the mic from the DJ's table. He looked at me like I'd grown wings. "Can you play something dramatic?" He blinked. Adele?" I nodded. "Perfect." I tapped the mic. It squealed, and then I cleared my throat and said, "Hey everyone. Sorry for the delay. The wedding's off. But the party? Oh, the party's just beginning." You ever hear a crowd try to cheer and gasp at the same time? That's what happened the second I said, "The wedding's off, but the party's just beginning." It was like everyone collectively short-circuited. There was a beat of stunned silence, then claps, whistles. One woman even shouted, "Iconic." Emily handed me a glass of champagne like we'd rehearsed this, and I took the longest sip of my life. It tasted like liberation and fermented grapes, and finally choosing myself. The DJ, bless his soul, started playing Adele's Rolling in the Deep, and honestly, the vibe was immaculate. No one left. Not one person. It was as if everyone had silently agreed. This man may have destroyed the wedding, but he was not going to destroy the open bar. The tables were still set. The string lights still twinkled. The charcuterie boards were untouched. So we pivoted. But don't get me wrong, underneath the glitter and dancing and revenge-tinged laughter, my chest was still tight. My fingers still curled involuntarily. I still couldn't stop hearing Claire's voice. "You promised you'd never love anyone the way you loved me." And that sickening silence after. And I knew I hadn't heard the last of Chase. He might have vanished into the vineyard shadows, but this wasn't over. And I was right. Because around 9 p.m., just as I was finally letting myself laugh again, just as the crowd was starting a toast to the baddest almost bride in history, I saw someone jogging toward the venue entrance. It was Logan, Chase's older brother, and he looked furious. He made a beeline for me, his face unreadable until he got close. "Natalie," he said, a little breathless, "you need to come with me. There's something you need to see." I blinked. "Is Chase okay?" Logan shook his head. "That's the thing. He's not. But this isn't about just him anymore." Something cold slid down my spine. "What do you mean?" He hesitated, looked around, lowered his voice. "There's something you don't know about Claire. Something Chase definitely didn't tell you." Logan's expression had that rare mix of guilt and urgency, the kind of face people make when they're about to blow your world up again, but they know they should have done it sooner. "Just tell me," I said, heart already pounding. "What is it about Claire?" He glanced around like someone might be listening, then motioned toward the gravel path leading to the vineyard's side garden. "We shouldn't talk here, come on." Against every instinct screaming girl, "Don't follow a man into the bushes in a wedding dress," I followed him. Logan didn't sit. He stood with his arms crossed, like bracing himself against whatever reaction I might have. "I need you to know I didn't want to be involved in this," he started. "But I've kept my mouth shut too long, and after what happened today, after she did that, I'm done protecting him." "Logan," I snapped. "Spit it out." He exhaled sharply. "Claire wasn't just Chase's ex. She's the girl he cheated on before he met you." I blinked. "What?" "They dated for almost 2 years in college. He cheated on her. She found out, dumped him, went no contact for a year. But here's the thing, Claire didn't come back into his life by accident." My stomach dropped. 6 months ago, she DM'd him, Logan continued. Said she'd forgiven him. That she was in therapy, and she just wanted to be friends. "And he didn't tell me?" I asked, my voice thin, tight. Logan shook his head. "Not just didn't tell you he started meeting up with her. Said it was closure. Said he needed to face his past before he could move forward with you." I suddenly felt cold all over, despite the summer night air and the champagne still buzzing in my bloodstream. "He lied to my face," I whispered. "Multiple times," Logan confirmed. "And I know because he told me everything. Drunk, 3 weeks ago, at my place. Said he was spiraling. That he thought he still had feelings for her, but didn't know if it was real or just guilt from how it ended. Said he didn't want to hurt you, but also didn't want to choose." I sat down hard on the bench. My legs were shaking. "He let her show up today," I murmured, more to myself than to him. "He let her blow up our wedding." Logan's jaw clenched. "She wasn't supposed to. I think she went rogue. But yeah, he never told her to stay away." My mind was spinning images flashing in rapid fire. Chase on the couch, distracted. Chase staying late at work. The nervous energy the night before the wedding. The hesitation at the altar. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked, looking up at Logan. He sighed. "Because I'm tired of watching him screw up good things. And because you didn't deserve any of this." Silence settled between us, heavy and strange. Then he added something unexpected. "And because Claire's not done." I stared. "What?" He pulled out his phone, tapped it a few times, and held it out to me. A video. Claire. In her car. Filming herself. The caption? "What really happened before Chase's wedding?" Posted just 20 minutes ago. Already over 40K views. I pressed play and heard Claire's voice start with, "I know what I did was dramatic, but I wasn't about to sit back and watch the man I love make the biggest mistake of his life." She sighed. All sad eyes and practiced pauses. "Chase and I had something real once. I know we hurt each other, but we also understood each other in a way no one else ever did. And when he told me he was getting married, yeah, it shocked me. Shocked her. They'd been messaging for months. This wasn't shock, it was strategy. He reached out to me a few months ago. We met up. Just to talk. He said he still had doubts, that he missed the way we used to be, that he felt trapped. I paused the video. Trapped, I said flatly, handing Logan back his phone. He told her he felt trapped. Logan didn't say anything. Didn't need to. I stared out at the vineyard, my dress bunched around me like a suffocating blanket of irony. I'd picked this place because I thought it felt like us. Romantic but grounded. Natural but beautiful. Now it just felt like a stage I'd been humiliated on. He let her believe there was still a chance, I whispered. He kept me in the dark while he played house with her memory. I'm sorry, Logan said softly. I should have said something sooner. I nodded, not ready to forgive him, but too tired to yell. Claire's framing this like she's the victim, I said. Like she's reclaiming something that was stolen. She's always been like that, Logan muttered. Manipulative. Knows exactly how to twist the narrative. I stood up slowly. My dress snagged on the bench, but I didn't even flinch. I was done playing the role of the perfect bride. The polite one. The quiet one. Then maybe it's time someone untwisted it. Logan tilted his head. What are you thinking? I looked toward the glow of the reception lights, where my friends were still dancing. Guests were still sipping champagne, and my would-have-been future was very much not invited. I think it's time I take back the mic, I said, and tell my side. Logan's eyes widened a little. You're going to make a statement? 5 minutes later, I was back on the dance floor, champagne in one hand, mic in the other, walking barefoot on the cool wooden boards like I owned the place, which, technically, I did until 11 p.m. The music cut out as I tapped the mic again. Okay, I said, scanning the crowd. So I know today didn't exactly go as planned. No ceremony. No vows. No awkward speech from my uncle about commitment and Costco memberships. Laughter rippled. It was cautious, but it helped. But I do have a few things I'd like to say. Not to Chase. He's not here. But to all of you. To everyone who came to celebrate Love Mine. And now, maybe your own. I took a deep breath. Some of you might have seen the video Claire just posted. If you haven't, don't bother. I'll give you the summary. She's the heroine. I'm the problem. And Chase is just a poor, confused man caught between two women. Classic. More murmurs now. I had them. Not just listening locked in. But here's what she didn't say. Here's what they didn't say. I looked directly into the phone someone had already started recording. I planned this wedding thinking I was building a future with someone who valued honesty, loyalty, love. What I didn't know was that while I was making guest lists and choosing table runners, he was reconnecting with the one person who broke his heart and mine. My voice cracked, just once, but I didn't stop. And when he had the chance to shut that door, to say no thanks, I've moved on, he hesitated. Not just at the altar, but for months. While I kept choosing him, he was wondering if he still wanted to. I looked around at the crowd, every face turned toward me. No whispers, no pity, just presence. So no, this didn't end the way I thought it would. But maybe it ended the way it needed to. I raised my glass to finding out before you sign the papers, to remembering your worth when someone tries to make you question it, and to the idea that sometimes the best wedding gift is not marrying the wrong person. Cheers erupted, louder than I expected, fierce. And somewhere in the crowd, I caught a glimpse of Logan, watching, nodding, a look I couldn't quite place in his eyes. But before I could process it, my phone buzzed. Claire. Again. She'd posted another video. And this one? It had screenshots of texts, of dates, of what looked like a hotel reservation from last month, under Chase's name. I ducked behind the DJ booth, champagne still in hand, heart hammering, like I'd just sprinted a marathon in 4-inch heels, because I needed a second. Just one moment away from the crowd. One breath before whatever chaos Claire had just unleashed dropped straight into my lap. I opened her newest video. Her face filled the screen again, but this time, she wasn't playing the hurt ex-girlfriend. No soft lighting, no faux emotional pauses, just cold, hard receipts. Since Natalie's chosen to share her truth, Claire said, eyes narrowed slightly, I thought it was only fair that I show mine. These are the messages Chase sent me in the past 3 months. You decide what they mean. She panned her camera to a screen, recording an open notes app with screenshots embedded. Dozens of them. And even from a glance, I could tell this wasn't just emotional cheating anymore. There were flirty messages, late night I miss you texts, even one that said, wish I was waking up next to you instead, dated 2 weeks before the wedding. But the one that made my knees buckle? A hotel confirmation. Chase Parker, Deluxe King Suite, April 22nd. The same weekend he told me he was at a construction site overnight for a friend's bachelor party. I remembered that weekend. I brought him aspirin the next morning. I massaged his shoulders while he claimed he'd barely slept. And the entire time, he was in a hotel. With her. The air left my lungs. I felt stupid. Stupid for loving him. For believing in the speeches. For ignoring the gut feeling I'd been trying to silence for months. There was a final screenshot, Claire's camera turning back to her. Gaze direct. Unflinching. This wasn't about stealing anyone's man. I didn't crash that wedding out of spite. I did it because Chase told me he was trapped. That he couldn't stop thinking about me. That Natalie wasn't what he wanted anymore. She ended it with, I wasn't going to let him lie to both of us. And if that makes me the villain, so be it. The video ended. My screen went dark. And I just sat there, spun out, and stunned. It was real. All of it. Not just a misstep. Not just confusion. Not some lingering affection for an old flame. This was full-blown betrayal. Coordinated. Prolonged. Intentional. And Claire? She just torched the last bit of plausible deniability he had. I stared down at my dress. The one I picked out with my mom. The one that was supposed to walk me into forever. Now it just felt like wrapping paper for a gift no one wanted to open. Hey? Logan's voice cut through the fog. I looked up. He was holding out his phone, brows furrowed. She posted again. I actually laughed. A short, broken sound that tasted like salt and disbelief. What now? I asked. More screenshots? A slideshow? A full Netflix docuseries? He hesitated. No, it's different. He handed me his phone again. This video wasn't Claire. It was Chase, red-eyed, sweaty, sitting in what looked like the back of someone's car, shot vertically, badly lit, but clearly desperate. I never wanted any of this to happen, he started. Claire, Natalie, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt anyone. I messed everything up. I lied. To both of you. He wiped his face. Either sweat or tears, I couldn't tell. I didn't think Claire would actually show up. I told her I was confused, but I never meant for her to do this. I didn't plan it. I didn't want to ruin the wedding. I didn't want to lose Natalie. He shook his head, voice cracking. I thought I had time to figure it out. He paused, looked directly into the camera. Natalie, I love you. I always have. I just got scared. Please, if you see this, talk to me. Don't let it end like this. The video cut off. I stood there for a full minute, staring at the blank screen. Then I handed the phone back and said, with eerie calm, I'm not going to cry anymore. Logan raised an eyebrow. What are you going to do? I looked back toward the reception, still alive, still buzzing. Then I looked down at my dress, smoothed the wrinkles, and stood up tall. I'm going to give Claire the one thing she never expected, I said. Logan blinked. Which is? A response. Not in texts, not in DMs, not in tears. I glanced at the mic, then back at him. I'm going live. There was something surreal about holding a phone in one hand and a half-wilted bouquet in the other, standing beneath twinkle lights in a dress meant for forever, right before going live to address a public betrayal like it was a press conference. But that's exactly where I was. Emily saw me heading toward the DJ booth and intercepted, brows furrowed. You okay? Getting there, I said. But I'm not hiding anymore. She didn't argue, just nodded, like she knew whatever I was about to do, I needed it. I walked to the front of the dance floor, turned the camera on myself, and hit go live. My screen blinked once. Then the viewers started trickling in, then flooding. First it was my friends, then coworkers, then usernames I didn't recognize, then Claire, then Chase. I saw his account join too. Perfect. I stared directly into the lens and began. Hi. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Natalie. Today was supposed to be my wedding day. I gave a little wave, the sarcastic kind you do when you're trying not to scream. But instead of starting a marriage, I found out at the altar that the man I loved still had feelings for his ex, who stood up in front of our guests and reminded him, and me, of that fact. I paused. The viewer count ticked up past 2,000, so I just wanted to say this, publicly, because apparently, that's how we do things now. Claire, you wanted attention? You've got it. Chase, you wanted to be caught between two women, too afraid to make a decision? Congrats, you've lost both of us. The comments exploded. Iconic. Drag him. Someone call Netflix. Is this a monologue? Because I need a soundtrack. I kept going. I'm not here to fight. I'm not here to beg. I'm not even here to take the high road. That road burned down somewhere around screenshot 5. What I am here to do is set the record straight. Chase and I were together for 4 years, 4 birthdays, 4 Thanksgivings. 4 times he made me feel like I was the safest place he'd ever known. But in the last few months, he let fear and selfishness drive him straight back into a version of the past that already failed him once. Claire, I don't know what he told you, but I do know this. He told me he loved me last night. He kissed my forehead this morning. And then, he watched you blow up our wedding and said nothing. The emotions started to crack through. But it wasn't weakness. It was the power of someone who has nothing left to lose. So here's my final message to both of you. I'm not the broken one in this story. I'm the lucky one. I found out, before the paperwork, before the house, before the babies, and the therapy, and the decade of resentment. You two, you're welcome to each other. But just remember, if he lied to her with me, and lied to me about you, he'll lie again. That's not a love triangle. That's a carousel. The screen filled with hearts. Comments were flying too fast to read. And then one pinged in bold. Chase Parker 21. Please don't do this. Can we talk? I paused, looked at it, then leaned closer to the camera and said, You had months to talk, Chase. Now I'm talking. And I'm done. I ended the live stream, set my phone down, and for the first time in days, exhaled. Emily ran up and bear hugged me so hard we nearly toppled into the snack table. Someone started clapping. Then more people joined in. It wasn't loud. It wasn't some rom-com finale. It was just real. And I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace.